How's this? If I lean in a little bit, is that good? Senator, you ready to start? Oh, 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 you good? Okay, okay, you're good. Yes. Okay. All right, everybody, we're gonna get started. Thanks everybody for being here on a windy day. Clearly, wind is a renewable resource in New Jersey that we should be harnessing to bring down energy costs. My name is Justin Ballack. Again, thank you for being here. I am the Vice President for State Engagement at Evergreen, and welcome as well to the folks here, to the folks joining on the live stream. Thanks everybody for tuning in online. We're here because over the last week, New Jersey voters have made clear that they are ready for action to deploy clean energy and lower costs. Families across the state are facing sharply rising electricity bills. That's a trend we're seeing nationally as well, but particularly acute here in New Jersey. And again, folks have made it unmistakably clear last week that they want leaders who will do something about it. Today, we are joined by a group of leaders and advocates who are fighting every day to build that stronger, fairer, more affordable energy system that works for everybody. We have David Amanfu from the Natural Resources Defense Council. Thank you for being here. Kyle Mason from the Regional Plan Association, and our special guest, Senator Andrew Zwicker. Thank you for your partnership and leadership. You'll hear from each of them in just a moment about how the energy affordability crisis is hurting New Jersey families, why we have to act now to deliver real immediate relief, and the concrete steps that we can take to get there. Our message today is simple. It's time to treat high utility bills as the real emergency that they are and move to cut costs and deploy clean energy as quickly as possible. Voters, again, just gave the governor-elect and the legislature a clear mandate to act, and all of us standing here today are ready with practical solutions that state leaders can seize on day one to hit the ground running and start delivering that real relief that everybody is crying out for. We are here today also to release new independent modeling that NRDC and Evergreen commissioned jointly that was produced by Synapse Energy Economics, an independent third-party modeling firm that has a track record of looking at solutions to address energy costs around the country. To kick us off, I'm honored to introduce somebody who has been a leading voice for building that fairer, more affordable energy system and for lowering costs for working families across the state. He's been at the forefront of efforts to hold New Jersey's grid operator accountable, PJM, accelerate those clean energy solutions that we're here to talk about today, and ensure that New Jersey families are not stuck paying the price for grid mismanagement and corporate greed. Please join me in welcoming Senator Andrew Zwicker.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here today. This report could not have come at a better time. I want to applaud Governor-elect Sherrill making energy affordability front and center in her campaign, and it is without any doubt that the people have spoken that this is number one on their mind. When I go across the state, whether it's in my district or anywhere else, I hear about affordability issues over and over again. And while people say it's complicated, the reality is that it's not. Renewable energy, clean energy is affordable energy. It's good for our environment, but it's also good for our pocketbooks. The report today provides quantifiable and concrete common sense steps forward as we move into genuinely attacking this energy affordability crisis. So whether it is PJM or regional transmission operators, obsolete rules, the fact that if they would clear their queue, energy prices would actually go down instead of going up by extraordinary amounts every single year. The fact that their queue is predominantly all renewable energy, solar and battery storage. We need this on the grid and we need this right away. Meanwhile, around the Northeast, data centers are consuming larger and larger quantities of electricity as they continue to try to provide enough computational power for the rise of artificial intelligence. The only rational, logical thing is to ensure that these enormous tech companies pay their share, provide their own energy, and we don't put that on the backs of New Jersey ratepayers. Similarly, it's time for real reform when it comes to permitting to ensure that we protect our environment, but we get clean, renewable energy onto the grid as quickly as possible. So I applaud everybody who is here today. I applaud Evergreen, NRDC, the folks who have put this modeling together. This is the data that we need so that as a legislative body with Governor-elect Sherrill, we can move quickly on behalf of the New Jersey ratepayers. So thank you for including me today, and I look forward to working in partnership in the months ahead.
All right. Thank you, Senator Zwicker, again for your leadership and for making it clear how urgent this moment is for New Jersey families and your commitment to deploying that cheap, affordable, clean energy that we desperately need here in New Jersey. Now, before I turn it over to David from NRDC, I just want to briefly lay out a little bit more context behind the steps we're proposing today. When you look at what's been driving bills higher, it becomes clear why action at the state level matters so much. As Senator Zwicker started to get into, across the region and the country, as well as right here in New Jersey, everybody is confronting with the fallout of the instability at the federal level, including the repeal of clean energy investments that were helping quickly and cheaply add new clean power to the grid. On top of that, as we heard Governor-elect Sherrill talk about repeatedly over the past several months, PJM interconnection has stalled thousands of new cheap clean energy projects that are waiting to be connected to the grid. PJM is that organization that manages the nation's largest grid, covering 67 million people across New Jersey and 12 other states. These are clean projects that have been ready to go, but have been stuck in the PJM backlog. And as Senator Zwicker said, in addition to that PJM obstruction and delay, demand from data centers is skyrocketing. So the good news is we can do something about it, and that's what we're here to lay out today. New Jersey can take practical, immediate steps to turn this around. You've noticed these signs here. This big number, $467 per year over time for the average household to bring down costs by deploying clean energy in practical, immediate ways. This is how we start saving New Jersey families money. Clean energy is cheap energy. Again, worth repeating, clean energy is cheap, affordable energy. If we move fast, if we act quickly, and we seize the momentum that we've been able to build over the past few weeks, the state can deliver the relief that voters just demanded from their leaders. And we're lucky to have that incoming administration led by Governor-elect Sherrill and a legislature with leaders like Senator Zwicker who understand how urgent rising utility bills are and who understand that clean energy is that solution to lowering energy costs. So right now, we're going to turn it over to David, who is with our partner organization at NRDC, who is going to walk us through some of these immediate practical steps that we can take to start lowering costs for families across the state. Over to you, David.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes to just go through what this model details. We have looked at jointly with Evergreen Action, and again, as commissioned by us and produced by Synapse Energy Economics, we've reviewed 4 different categories of policies. We've reviewed what happens when you look at the return on equity for utility companies, which is the margin above which investment costs are given returns to the utility companies to then spur on further investment. Adjusting that downwards to look at what is the most reasonable and most appropriate level is a very, very important way to ensure that costs do not skyrocket, that utilities do not have misaligned incentives to overbuild, and again, to save ratepayers money, customers, families, businesses of the state of New Jersey. We also looked at, as the senator said, and as my colleague Justin said, what happens when we require data centers who are skyrocketing in their demand, going from approximately 6% of the region's energy use to what is predicted to be about 20% of the region's energy use in the coming years. We are looking at what happens when you ask them to pay for their costs by bringing their own self-supply and generation. The third topic we looked at was around electric vehicles and smart charging of electric vehicles. As people across the state move from fossil fuel powered vehicles to electric vehicles, ensuring that they're enrolled in smart charging programs that manage the demands on the grid and the strain on the grid produced by that is going to be imperative. The upside is that more people using electricity means that there is more revenue for the same amount of infrastructure costs, or more revenue above what the infrastructure costs associated are. And so that provides downward pressure. We talk a lot about downward pressure here, but it's money back in your pocket is what we're really talking about here. And the last one, as we've aforementioned, is reducing red tape around clean energy generation, being able to speed up the clearing of PJM's interconnection queue, being able to build projects here in New Jersey to supply the state with clean energy, fossil-free energy that also will alleviate our supply crunch in the region. So those are the 4 things that we looked at, and we modeled them in various ways in our model. So for each, I'll go through. For the ROE, the return on equity, we looked at what happens when you reduce a utility's return on equity by 2 percentage points, let's say from 6% to 4%, example numbers, and what the returns are for that. For bringing your own generation for data centers, we looked at what the utilities are projected to charge their customers with the demand associated with data centers and without the demand associated with the data centers, as though they were bringing their own generation and supply. For EVs, we just looked at the overall rate at which EVs were being introduced into the market, the rate at which people are finding that these cars are great, they ride smoothly, they feel nice, and they're cheaper to maintain and own. We looked at how that translates to electricity load, how that load translates to dollars brought into the utility system, and how those loads also generate costs, and how much more revenue above cost there is, which again leads to money back in people's pockets. And lastly, for clean energy, unleashing clean energy abundance, so to speak, what we looked at was what would happen if the current pace of projects entering into the grid remains the same versus what happens if we allow the queue, to clear more quickly. And so those are the 4 things we looked at. And I'll also describe what that means for the state of New Jersey. To be quick, $14.3 billion saved and returned to the customers and families of the state of New Jersey over the next 4 years. This is cumulative through 2030. The breakdown is as follows. For adjusting the utilities return on equity, $900 million saved within the residential sector, and $1.4 billion saved across the commercial and industrial sectors. For bringing your own generation, requiring data centers to bring their own generation, it is a total of $8.6 billion through 2030, with $5 billion returned to families and residential customers, and $3.6 billion to New Jersey businesses and industrial customers. For smart EV charging, that's mostly a residential issue, but it still brings back $300 million to the pockets of New Jerseyans. And lastly, for clean energy, abundance, and red tape removal, PJM interconnection queue reform, that is a total of, what is that? Math is hard today. $5.4 billion. That's 2.4 billion, or 5.3 billion, excuse me. $2.4 billion from the residential sector and $2.9 billion from the commercial sector. And again, what's important to know is that we are biased towards action. As Justin had said, the election this last week notes that affordability is a prime issue here in New Jersey, and New Jerseyans have elected the governor-elect with an agenda that aligns very closely with the outcomes modeled in this report. But it's not just the front office. It's not just the governor's office who has a role to play here. The legislature, the state legislature, has a role to play in implementing all four of these policy options, as does the Board of Public Utilities. So I think it's important to note all of those items. I think that covers it, but I will turn it back to Justin. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, David, for breaking that down and walking us through those steps and showing how we can start cutting utility bills right away. I should also mention that these are the 4 key interventions we focused on. The report also mentions several other steps that we think are worth considering and analyzing to deliver folks immediate relief. So please check that out in the report. Now I'd like to turn it over to Kyle Mason with the Regional Plan Association. RPA has been a key partner in helping shape solutions to make the tri-state area more affordable and livable for nearly a century. Thrilled to have them here today.
Thank you, Justin. Hello, I'm Kyle Mason, an associate planner with Regional Plan Association. RPA is an independent, nonprofit civic organization that develops and promotes ideas to improve the economic health, environmental resiliency, equity, and quality of life of the New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut metropolitan region. It's no surprise to anyone here that New Jersey is in the midst of an energy affordability crisis. Even before the rate hikes that catapulted electricity prices 20% higher this summer, New Jersey had some of the most expensive energy costs in the country, disproportionately affecting low and moderate income communities the hardest. An increasing share of New Jersey residents are facing an energy burden. In a time where inflation is back on the rise, forcing too many households to choose between paying their bills and paying for other necessities like food and medicine. With the recent election, New Jersey voters sent a clear message. Energy prices are too high, and the next governor needs to do something about them now. Over the past year, RPA has been carrying out research on the electric grid and its intersection with various issues, including affordability. We found that while demand growth from large-scale data centers is a major contributor to the recent rate hikes, New Jersey's high rates are also linked to a lack of clean in-state power and reliance on fossil fuel plants with volatile prices, as well as necessary but costly utility upgrades. New Jersey is an energy importer, meaning we do not produce enough of our own energy here to meet our demand, which makes us reliant on the larger PJM system with its fossil-dominated power plants to meet our basic energy needs. As the report that is being released today makes clear, building clean energy is key to reducing energy costs in New Jersey. Clean energy can reduce our reliance on the larger PJM system, insulating ratepayers from capacity market increases and out-of-state demand growth. With uncertainty around federal policy, New Jersey can take steps to set clear investment signals to foster a clean and more affordable energy industry in-state by reforming siting and permitting barriers. With some of PJM's interconnection reforms in place and increasing pressure from state governments to make the grid operator more accountable, New Jersey must do its part to build clean energy simpler and shorter. The interconnection queue is only one part of building clean energy. with siting and permitting delays a major contributor to canceled or stalled projects. New Jersey must also continue and bolster programs that incentivize residential and commercial solar and energy storage, as well as develop new incentive programs that attract the clean energy industry to the state. With the imminent loss of federal tax credits and the uncertainty of federal policy going forward, it is imperative that New Jersey double down on its commitment to clean, affordable energy. But even with siting and permitting reforms and incentive programs, building clean energy takes time. Governor-elect Sherrill and the state legislature must take action on day one to better manage demand from large load data centers, to provide immediate relief from future rate increases through requiring these data centers to bring their own clean power. The state must also emphasize and incentivize energy efficiency measures to reduce residential and commercial building energy usage. As NRDC and Evergreen's report shows, these measures, among the others listed in the report, can deliver over $450 of real cost savings per year to the people of New Jersey. That means more money in the pockets of New Jersey residents and less worrying about whether they can afford their bills. By following the recommendations in this report, Governor-elect Sherrill can deliver on the promises that voters elected her to do and position New Jersey as a leader in clean energy while securing affordability for all residents. Thank you.
Okay. I think in addition to laying out that this is a crisis that we need immediate action on, and it's important that everybody feels the sense of momentum that is here from this partnership and this analysis and the governor-elect's resounding victory recently in the state. We are here and ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work and partnering with all the folks here, other stakeholders, and the governor-elect and her team in solving this problem. So thank you again, everybody, for being here today. At this time, we're going to open it up to any questions from the press. If folks are joining on the Zoom, they can enter their question into the Q&A, and our comms VP, Holly, will direct them our way. And if you're here in person, raise your hand and we can call on you, and just state your name and outlet if you do have a question. Anything online? Okay, thank you, everybody. That is a wrap. Thanks for being here. Oh, great. Thank you for.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you. I think I mostly did all what I wanted to do. That was a very good summary report. You guys took a lot of, not that you took a lot. Oh, you did.